Okay, guys, we're gonna just go with this.
I'll post that in the group.
I'm in the group. Okay. We have a participant, and I think that's me. So at least one person's watching. Okay.
Sweet. Perfect. Get into it. Okay. All right. So keep going on butterfly? Yeah, sweet. So, last time we did the overhook, or trapping the overhook, and really just working on tilting of the shoulders. Right, and grips. Right. So this time let's talk a little bit about angles and position relative to the other person. So for butterfly, it always helps to be a little off center. We talked about before turning the shoulders. Well, if your opponent can sprawl right in front of you, right, that can sometimes make collapsing their shoulders difficult. So at some point, I really don't want to be square on center with him. I want to see if I can move off to the side. Now that I'm at an angle, I have the ability to affect his balance more. One, because I'm not in front of him, so even if he can stop the butterfly sweep, right, I can start to attack other things like the arm drag. So not being on his center line is really important. You want to see if you can fix it just at the get, right? So as you're fighting, you can either push off of him and move him, right? Or you can also move yourself. Either way, at the end of the day, I want to see if I can be off his center line. You also see that the more he hangs on to me as I move off the center line, the more his shoulders turn. So now that I'm off the center line, I can continue to collect this arm, and now I'm going to fall again sideways to the shoulder.
I notice that you are framing out on this bicep. Are you, I guess that's where you're really deriving your power, but you're on top of the bicep angle. You're not really down here either.
Which bicep? Yours?
Mine. Yeah. So as you're framing to scoot out, you're keeping that distance.
Right.
With that piece.
Well, it just becomes another wall for me to move off of, right? Because as you put it on the ground or you put it on me, either way, that becomes my ability to move as long as you're pushing and being active. So yeah, give it a little play. Good. Yeah, you see how by you pushing, now all of a sudden I'm at an angle.
Yeah.
Right? If you relax this arm, actually, it does the opposite. Like I get nothing. But most people don't do that. They dig in. You grab this leg, yeah, they start trying to pin it, and I'm like, great.
Yeah, I'm already off. Yeah.
Now I got you off center. Slipping the hook in is easy. What I really want to do is make sure I'm starting to turn your shoulders.
So really, is the hook like on a scale of priorities? It's more toward
Low.
Low. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Not everything is equal priority in jiu-jitsu. There are some things that are high priority. There are some things that are low priority. Looks like so does us.
We got one other person.
Oh.
Yay! Hi.
Who's that?
I don't know. I can't see.
That's all right. So not everything's equal priority. Some things are very important. Some things are somewhat important. Some things are not really important. So you always want to take the hardest, most critical items and do those first.
Okay. So from like a hierarchy of value, arm control first, or your opponent's shoulder control, or back control, however you want to do it. If you're doing the overhook or if you're doing the underhook, and then your angle off too, or is the angle off more important?
I would say the angle is more important.
Okay, so
How you get the attachment can be a lot of different ways. That's what I would call that shoulder part,
okay,
right? Like, because that's really just an attachment. What's happening here? So what's really happening in the grand scheme of things in the fight of the butterfly hook sweep is I'm trying to achieve an angle however I can to turn your shoulder and then attach myself as I fall. This is a sacrifice throw, right? Just like drop Sayanagi or anything else. This is a sacrifice throw. So what I need to first do is create the kuzushi, the directional energy, to set up you falling, and then I need to grab onto you and throw myself.
Okay.
Right? So the kuzushi for this will be another discussion for another day. For now, just know that you can help set that up by achieving this angle. If you don't do anything to face me or follow me here, that's fine, I can do stuff. But as you come toward me to face me, that's gonna give me that shoulder to attach and throw.
Okay. I noticed also, just as you were turning out, even though I wasn't turning in, but feeling static, I just feel the tension turn on and on and on with that arm. And that was a scary feeling, because it's like, oh, I'm definitely out of control in this situation.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, part of this, the hook sweep is part of a larger attack to one side, right? So like the hook sweep is a way to sweep to this side, but if you start to kind of reel this arm back or something like that, I've also got the ability to arm drag to this side.
Okay.
Right? Doesn't mean I can't attack this side as well, right? One of the reactions that you get from the hook sweep, which will definitely be a discussion for another day, is as you start to buckle this arm, they start to lift this arm and close the other arm, and now we get the hook sweep in the other direction.
Oh, okay. But what kind of leverage does that require? Because I would imagine
Just a hip switch,
okay.
right? So as I start to attack this, I feel that happening. Look, I'm gonna switch my angle and just keep you rolling downhill.
Okay. So could one theoretically be setting up, I guess, yeah, you could set up the actual right foot hook sweep versus the left foot hook sweep, just so you're like teasing them, like, I'm gonna sweep you this way, and they're like,
And this is all gonna come from the angle, so line up this way so that we can see the angle. So the angle setup is gonna be the thing that kind of does a lot of the work for me. So as I set up, I've got the hook sweep this way. If you start to try and close this side, right? So close this shoulder and lift this one to avoid that hook sweep. I'm just gonna use you as my barometer for which way I should be sweeping. But you see I switched to the other angle?
Yeah.
So I'm still not staying in the middle.
Well,
Now I'm over here. And if we were going to go for this sweep and you were to switch back and close this arm, yes. Okay.
so in this situation though, like you're maintaining contact and control, but you have enough, I guess you're connected up here to my upper body, which frees your lower body to pivot directionally.
Yeah.
As you need to.
I must be connected to your upper body. Our upper bodies have to be linked. Lower body, not so much.
Okay.
Because actually, even if you leave the hook out of the hook sweep, so I'm gonna leave this leg out so you all can see I'm not using it. Right? If I connect to your shoulder enough, I can still sweep you over.
Yeah. Huh. The hookless hook sweep.
Yeah, it's not really what that is that's more like a head and arm throw. Right? But that's what this is. This is a kind of throw where this just comes at the end. The The best way I can describe this, stand up. I won't do the technique. Nice. Because this is a hard surface. The best way I can describe this is if I were going to do an Uchimata, right? The leg reap at the Uchimata, right? So I'm going to step in. I'm going to lift him up, step in, right? Reverse, and now I've got him to lift. I can finish this as a throw, or, right, I can lift the leg and reap here with the leg and add that amplifying reap to the throw. But I'm not gonna need it. If I hit the technique right, if I step and reverse and lift, I've got him up. The leg here at the end is just gonna be that extra.
So that's kind of like like a punch to generate the power. Like the final, like you don't need it, but if you're really trying to make some emphasis and generate force, then that's when that hook comes in the hook sweep.
Yeah, it's really the idea behind the hook is just to keep your hips going with your shoulders, right?
Because I guess I could scramble and try to.
If I do this and you sprawl, if I don't have a hook active, that might buy you some time. But if my hook is active and you sprawl, you just laid down on the lever, the end of the lever.
I see. Well, and I've also kind of shrunk my space into a line, which is a lot easier to rotate.
Right.
Rather than.
Right. You're not going like a star, you're becoming very narrow.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a good way to think about it.
Okay. Cool.
So achieving that angle is really important. If you find yourself lined up square with somebody like this, it becomes a lot easier for them to beat you. But if I just fix for a moment, right, overhook, underhook, doesn't matter. If I just fix for a moment, now I've got him in a position where if he doesn't turn to face me, so if he stays just like he is, right, maybe I can't get the sweep, maybe I can, but I've certainly got a whole lot of other attacks. Omoplata, triangle, right? We talked about the arm drag. I can also turn this into the sweep if I need to. But when he does turn to face me, I get that collapse of that far shoulder to be far.
I'm already basically turning on the throw for you.
Right. So as you turn to face me, I make my connection, I throw myself, and now I'm in position again. Right? Do it thoroughly. This angle. Right, so I'm going to fix my angle, and then as he comes toward, right, you can finish hooks in, you can finish mount, you can finish side control and knee on belly. Any of those are valuable.
Let me see. There's some comments on there, so let me just check real quick, guys. Okay, cool. Kuzushi. Kuzushi is a Japanese term, Coach Craig, that means off balance. I'll let you.
Well, yeah. So kuzushi is like directional energy, right? So come here. So kuzushi is like the first time I heard it was from my instructor, but it's very commonly used in judo, right? So kuzushi is the energy you build to set up the throw. So as an example, face me. If I were gonna do a sotogari or something like that, right? And I just try and throw it on a stagnant opponent, that's not really gonna work. What I really need to do is I need to set him up, right? So I'll pull him like this, and now I can step and throw. Because as he's moving back to correct himself, he gives me energy that I can input into the throw. Well, the same thing happens on sweeps. If my opponent is solid and base, he's strong. Yeah, if I try and throw him right now, it's never going to work. What I really need to do is I need to get him moving in a direction. Now that he goes to correct to me, he gives me kuzushi. He puts energy into the system in a direction that'll let me do something. Even if he gives me the wrong kuzushi, it should be right for something. So then it's just my job to adapt. Is he saying that makes sense?
Inertia. Yes, sir. And then Joseph said the primary connection is shoulder control in this sweep series.
Yes. Yeah. That's a question?
Yeah, it was a question. It also appears making them chase or turn to face their work assists or initiates the sweep. Absolutely.
Yeah, Kevin. There's plenty of times. Let's do like a 45. Okay. So there's plenty of times when, because my opponent is sitting back on his haunches or something like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to sweep them, right? They're kind of like playing conservatively. So what I might do is I might start to get up. Why? One, because he's letting me, but two, because if he now chases and pursues me to take me down, look what I suddenly have. I got a connection, right? And I can just start to use it to sweep.
Oh, okay, so you're even, like when you said sacrifice throw earlier, you then just sacrifice that position by falling to that hip and then using that.
I'm not falling to the hip, I'm falling to my shoulder.
Okay.
Right? I'm putting this shoulder laterally.
Okay.
Right? So if you're chasing me and leaning on me to stop me from getting up, you may be getting over top of me. Go ahead. Yeah. This feels like I'm losing right now. But all I really need to do is make a connection to that far arm, right? Which he might do for me. He might even reach for my leg to take me down.
Do like a knee pick.
Yeah.
So a knee pick on that one gave it to you.
Right. It turns your shoulder, right? Does that make sense? Like, as I start to get up and you start to knee pick, which you might want the underhook for, right? Yeah, you'll see this all the time. So I'll whizzer, right? And then let you take me down.
That sounds like that's so demoralizing.
Because
I'm like, yes, I win, and then oh no, I'm on bottom.
Right. So let's do that from a different angle, backside, so they can see. And then we'll move in this way. Right. So maybe the person underhooks me, and I feel like, yeah, they're sitting back. They're not really playing the game. Maybe they're reaching even just for my leg. Like they're just trying to grab this leg. Yes. Perfect. Right. Like he's trying to collapse me this way. So what I might do is I might get up and make my connection. See what he does. Now look at his shoulders. See how his shoulders are playing in this direction? So as he starts to drive, I'm going to concede that ground, but turn his shoulders with my fall. So this can go good from turtle if I throw the hook in. Yeah, sure. From turtle, it's going to be a little different because it's going to really depend on your opponent sort of using this underhook and not putting their hips behind you. Right? He's trying to, yes, so start circling behind. And if I underhook here, I can now turn and start to play that game again. Right? Look at how I'm grabbing my own thigh though. And I'm bearing down on his shoulder. If he gets over top of me with that shoulder, so lift that shoulder, lift. Yeah, this becomes much more precarious for me. I need to really put some pressure on that shoulder. Even if he tries to get his arm out, right, or reach around the leg for a single, yeah, that's fine too. but I gotta keep our shoulders connected. And now at this point, I can activate the sweep again as long as I get a connection to the other arm. Does that answer your question, Greg? Yeah, looks like it. So make your drill focus for a day or two, really for like the rest of your life, but for now, for a day or two, make your drill focus about cheating that angle. Right? If your opponent is in front of you, they start passing you, so give me a little like active fight. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Good. Right. Okay. And he's doing a good job. He's trying to beat this hook. But again, the hook isn't critical. It's nice, but that's not what's doing it for me. What's doing it for me, so let's do this in like slow motion. As he starts to fight that hook, what's doing it for me is the angle. And the shoulder connection. I need to steal that post.
Now what if I, instead of trying to circle, I guess we've already addressed the sprawling question, but if I, like slow-mo,
Yes.
if I'm here, and then I'm coming around,
Mm-hmm.
and then I sprawl,
Yes.
I'm already in a weak position. I can
You
feel it.
are, even if you sat back and tried to like pin my leg, right?
Yeah,
See how I'm getting up,
yeah.
right? So as you start to kind of get heavy on this leg, I start to get up, and I'm keeping my connection here, however I can, whizzer, whatever. And now you have to make a choice, you know, you keep going, let's do mini fight. Again. Right, so when he sat, the first time I went to hit the sweep, he kind of put his weight over this arm, right, and back into his left haunch. Yeah, so I went to hit the sweep, I was like, no, it's not really there. So I relaxed, because why am I going to try and push a rock uphill? If anything, I probably should have swept that way. But I relaxed, and then he reached for me again. And sort of gave me that shoulder again.
It was
And then the
almost,
sweep comes again.
it was almost like a feint. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't really a feint because I wanted to sweep you, and I was going to try, but your energy was wrong.
okay.
Right? So you do the sweep this time to me, just so we can talk about it. You know, if I'm sat like this, I'm open to things right now, but a hook sweep this way is going to be tough, right? Especially if I can teeter it. So your job is to find the technique that fits the kuzushi you're getting, not the other way around. You can make kuzushi, right? You can make the energy for a technique, but usually in a live roll, and certainly in a fight, there are times when you need to match the energy that's coming to you, not make the energy match you. Does that make sense? You're the one that has to change. So, yeah, exactly. There's only so much control you're going to have and so much influence. So right now, the way I'm set up, if Sean tries to hook sweep me, right, I'm just really heavy right now. I'm 1,000,000 pounds because I'm set up exactly the wrong way. But if Sean, for a second, takes himself and switches his angle, look at what way I'm not set up to defend. That's right. That's the right thing to do in that scenario. right? Because I'm leaning all that energy that way to defend this direction, but that means that I'm naturally falling in that direction.
For me, it feels like I have to calibrate my level of commitment. And, at that point I felt like, oh man, I really, really need to hit that because my hook's already here. But now I see what you're talking about is like, okay, sure, yeah, man, go that way. That's fine. I'm going to take the overhook in that case because that felt more comfortable, just trapping that arm rather than trying to be here. Because I felt like if I didn't trap that arm and I went that way, you still got that post.
Right.
If I'm here.
And I would have.
Yeah. And if I'm here, then I can keep that elbow tight so you can't flare it out and catch yourself.
Right.
And then, that was super easy. Like, once I got that, now I had a point to move from.
Correct.
And then I was just,
Yep. And it just becomes a matter of switching your feet. And that is what you're going to come to adapt to. When you start doing hook sweeps a lot, it really just becomes about change your angle to fit the scenario. So now Sean's doing the same thing I was doing. I might be able to insist on this, but it's going to be tough. And I really don't want to.
It's going to be expensive.
Right, exactly. It's going to be a lot of energy. You only have so many resources. So what makes sense for me is rather than try and force this over, if I just take a second, I'm going to move toward his foot. I'm going to get a much easier sweep.
How would we role play this without a partner? Like, so when I'm at home and I'm doing this, I'm at home now. But when I'm at
when I'm at home,
the theoretical I that is me. Let's get real deep here. How can I model this like without a training partner?
Sure.
Right, because you're going to leave after this class, and then I'm going to be quarantined again.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you can definitely do for yourself is, if you want, you can practice moving at an angle, right? So you can scoot, 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 and it's gonna kind of make this circle motion, right? And then the other direction.
Okay.
Right? And then you can also work switching sides. So I'm gonna hook sweep this way, right? And when I fall, my shoulder is gonna go straight to the mat. And my toes are gonna come up. And then I'm gonna hook sweep this way. Right? And then you can mix them. So if you have a grappling dummy, it's even better, but a partner is best. So find a friend.
Dig. COVID-19 is going.
Giving me lots of kuzushi.
Nice. All right. Any other questions, guys? Leave a comment. Let's go. Okay.
All right, so yeah, I think your status is let's draw together, by the way.
Oh, is that what it is? This is just on my channel. We're going to, obviously repost this. Granby rolls against the wall back and forth as a drill.
Yeah, you could do that for sure. The Granby roll is slightly different, right? Because you're kind of clearing your hips, so it's not quite a Granby roll. In this situation, your overhook and your leg can add leverage to this, whereas in a Granby roll, you want to keep your leg out. Becomes a liability. So let's spend a little moment talking about that. If I get my attachment to my opponent's shoulders, I don't need the hook, but I do still want this hook to help. So my knee is going to stay at a strong 90-degree or better angle, and I'm going to kind of pre-flex it, right? So I kind of put a little tension, like you can't see this obviously, but I'm flexing my leg right now. So my whole right leg, right thigh, all through my quad is tense. So that when I go to turn and he sprawls on my leg, go ahead, sprawl. Get back up. Sprawl really on my leg. Yeah, put your left hip down to the mat. Oh, yeah. Good. So when I catch that weight, my leg is already strong. See how I can deal with it? If I keep my knee too bent, what'll happen is if he does the same thing, he's 1,000,000 pounds now. I can't possibly lift with my leg from this sort of acute angle. And yeah, you just get the whole position falls apart. So I need this leg to be tense and ready to receive weight. So if I am going to use this hook, which I can, right? My leg is already set up to lift him. It's not going to do most of the lifting, but it needs to catch that load of him sprawling onto my shin. If my knee is like this, it's just going to collapse in. If I put my knee at a 90-degree or better angle, I can flex this and I can catch it. Looks like we have questions. Is the pathway different from the overhook as opposed to the underhook? Can you go over the angles again? I see the difference now, thanks. Sure, so for the overhook versus the underhook, the angles are the same. I will say that the overhook does present some advantages that you don't get with the underhook as far as attachment, but
And your ability to scoot out that way.
yeah, true. It also gives me this kind of this ability to move off of him in this way. But whether it's overhook or underhook, I still want to achieve this angle, right? And if he does nothing about it again, I can get around and behind him. But most people will do something about it. I mean, to be realistic, if I underhook and I start scooting, yeah, you see how he's moving toward me? That's what's giving me the ability to change the angle, right? If he tries to sit back and away, I should be getting up anyway. But I can do all that stuff with the overhook too. Overhook. Right? So I'm going to scoot, scoot, scoot. If he retreats, right? Sure. You can get collar grips too if they have a gi on. You can reset up for the sweep in case he reverses and comes toward you again. What was the other question? The angle. Yeah, the angle that I'm trying to achieve is if I'm square up on my opponent, if I'm sitting face to face, if his chest and my chest are pointing at one another, I'm gonna have problems, most likely. For one, he's got the ability to sort of pass me 50-50 here, right? Like, yeah, in either direction, I could end up getting beaten, and I'm sort of left running around. It's not really a great time, especially when you're on bottom. Whereas, if I take a second and I achieve an angle, now he's got one side that's less probable than the other, right? He may still try and pass this way, which is fine. But when he reaches for that leg, he takes away his post. If he doesn't reach for the leg, if he tries to do it, let's say I take this angle, he tries to do it with his hip, I can kick that out too and get up, right? So do that again, slow. So he's going to try and, rather than reach with his arm, he's going to try and scoop it with his knee. Yeah, look. I don't know if that was visible. Yeah, I'm going to watch the camera this time. Right? So as he's trying to take away this angle and put weight through my, right? He's trying to bring my hook this way.
Yeah, so I can pass you.
Right, exactly. So as he puts weight with his leg through my hook, right? So take your left knee and bring it forward. Yeah, exactly. Look. always trying to achieve that angle that doesn't straighten me out against him. Let's see. What's Joe say? What are the most important common reasons for failure when initiating the sweeps? Oh, good question. I missed one, did I? Yeah. So a lot of things that go wrong for people are based off of this initial position, right? I'm going to sit back toward you for a minute just so you can see. If I sit flat like this, again, I'm 50-50 either way. And he's going to start passing one direction, right? And even if I start doing something about it, now I've got a big gap to make up on this side, right? Especially if he starts passing and bringing my toes in this direction. Yeah, I got a problem. So I don't want to sit square. I want to pick a side. Think football, think soccer. Show the guy a sideline, right? Use the fact that you're set up for a sweep to disadvantage him in one direction, right? And now what you're going to get is you're going to get a slowdown. If you sit square, they're just going to run through you one side then the other. Now he kind of has to make some decisions about what he's willing to sacrifice in order to get. Another common mistake people make is they lean back. This is probably, even people with good positioning and good techniques, this is probably the most common error, is when they make the connection, right? The first thing they do is either scoot their hips under or pull the person backwards. Either way, you end up in the same position, which is on your back, not helping anybody, certainly not yourself, right? So it's very important that when I make my connection, that my next movement is this way, right? Watch where my shoulder lands. So as I decide to sweep, I'm not pulling, I'm turning like a bus wheel, right? I'm thinking like that. Like turn his shoulders, turn. All right, overhook, underhook, it doesn't matter. It's the same idea. I'm gonna think turn. Until I've gotten on top. So don't pull people back on top of you. And unless your technique is something entirely different, like you're changing the sweep, which is fine, don't put yourself leaning back and underneath them, right? Because really, in this position, for me to kind of do this, I know it seems like I'm underneath them, but I'm really not. Like, look at where his hips are relative to mine. I can maybe do some sticky leg and sort of annoy him in this position. But his hips are still in front of me, right? Now, if he were like that, I'd say, okay, now I'm under. Right? Now our hips are almost in alignment where my hips are under his hips. But if you just try and scoot underneath somebody, unless they're really dumb, they're not going to let you in that space free of charge. Right? The experience level you want to train for is top experience level. You don't want to train for people who make a lot of silly mistakes. So make sure that, turn back. Make sure that when you make your connections, right, and you're looking for your angles, that you're not also doing this. Because now I'm jammed up and I'm leaning back, right? I want to be out. Now when he comes to get me, he has to come off of his base, not the other way around. I got flat too much, like that, then I have to work out of it. Yeah, right. So anytime you try and throw yourself underneath somebody, you put yourself flat. The worst scenario actually isn't that you put yourself flat, right? Like I can still kind of fight from here because I'm on my back and I have some ability to use my hips and my legs in the scenario. The worst situation is that I end up like this, with my shoulders kind of frozen half behind me. I'm not flat. I'm not sitting up. I'm neither. I'm just sort of in this no man's land.
I would imagine I'd want to like Toriano you from this point.
Yeah, if I were you, yeah, exactly. And if I were you, I might even collar grip just to ensure I don't go to my back, right? So like keep me up, but not all the way up, right? So just enough that I can't go to my back. And now when you grab my pants, yeah, look, that sucks. Right? That's a terrible position. And you should really, when you're playing butterfly, do everything you can to avoid that position. Because I'll tell you, as a person passing butterfly, I'm going to do everything I can to put you in it.
So for me, to defend this, like if I can, I want to square you back up.
Right.
And then control an arm, control a shoulder.
Right. And if we're playing this game, this becomes an arm drag now.
Yeah.
Right? So when you go to, I'm trying to play this game, when you go to kind of push me off you or whatever, yeah, I'm changing my game now to an arm drag so that I can use the same position behind you, but I still change the angle too, right? I match what you're giving me instead of trying to make you match what I want. So it's more of a forward or side roll and less of a rear roll in that case. Yeah, absolutely. It's never roll over your own back, right? Let's take it from the negative. I hesitate to do this because it can be a little derailing. Let's switch, right? And talk a little bit about the pass. So when somebody's playing this game on me and I want to beat them, what I'm going to do before I do anything else, before I worry about grips, before I worry about exactly which pass I'm going to do, is I'm going to teeter. Look at where he is now. I don't have to worry about anything. He's weak as a kitten right now. Right? Like anything he does from here must first be started by fixing his posture. Yes. Right? So before he does anything, he's going to kind of try and scoot. Yeah. And even now, he's not quite there yet. He's got to scoot a little more or lean forward a little more, whatever. Yeah, and now I'm in front again. But if I just do this, he's weak again. Right? So when I'm fighting this game, like I was saying, everything I do is going to be to kind of move him off base and then pass. So if you do that for yourself, guess how happy I'm going to be as the passer. Right? That makes my job very easy. So when
$5.
Yeah, right? So when people scoot in as their first technique on butterfly, where they kind of scoot their hips toward me, I'm like, oh, all right, that'll be fine. If he takes a minute, and as I'm coming toward him, he scoots back and away, yeah, in the angle you're doing. Now look at how I'm getting in trouble just by chasing him. Guess what I'm going to do from here if I'm going to survive? I got to back up. I got to run. Right? So do that again. Let's switch, actually. We'll do that real slow. So if I scoot in like this, I'm just beating myself. Right? I'm just starting to lose here now. He helped me, actually. He put me on my back. He should have sat me up a little more. Yeah. And now pass. Pass one side or the other. Yeah. But if I take a second, and as I feel him trying to do that to me, maybe I scoot back. Look. You see how he gets all overextended toward me? That's really important when you're achieving those angles, to make that person chase into the track. right? You got to get him out of his shell, out of his strong place, and running toward you. That's how you do sacrifice throws, is you get people moving, excuse me, you get people moving toward you. Corona. Just allergies. Just kidding.
I'm socially isolated, you know. What's a potentially fatal disease?
Right. So as I make my connections here, overhook, underhook, doesn't matter. Right? I want him to be out of his shell, leaning toward me, chasing me. He's not going to do it on his own. He's certainly not going to need to do it if I do this to myself. Yeah, good pass. Right? See how he's using that teeter? Go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make him run. Right? By achieving that angle. Look. I know where that hand's coming. He did it twice already. So now by the third time, I should just steal it. Kittens are weak but have sharp teeth. True.
So do white belts. They can kick you.
It's true. White belts hurt more people than black belts, probably. Some kittens have pungent power. I'm gonna assume you're talking about humans. Other questions?
That's a PSA, guys. Make sure that you are washing your equipment, wash your gis, wash your rash guards, wash your shirts, and also wash your belt, because that's bullshit. They carry bacteria. You won't lose your knowledge, because that is not how that works. That's not science. So you're welcome.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Any other concerns? Because we're T-minus 5 minutes till Sean's
2 minutes slow. So 3 minutes.
Oh, T-minus 3 minutes till Sean's fitness class.
If y'all wanna get swole,
Like Sean.
stacked, like kind of medium swole, medium.
Swoledium.
Swoledium. Ooh,
Sounds
that's
like a almond.
yeah. I was gonna say, like, that sounds scientific. Like, you know, gotta get them gains.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your help. Good job today. Appreciate you. Stay safe out there. And any last comments?
Like and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Sean does an art class on the same channel. Not to cross promote, but
All right, well,
fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. You know, it's all for fun. It's all for coronavirus sanity sake anyway. So that's why we're training at home. Otherwise, I would rather be on the mats so that I could get beat or beat other people up.
Yeah. And when this is all over, we will see you back on the mats.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Clean geese.
Yes. Cheers, gentlemen. Thank you. And ladies, if there is one or two. I think we're at 5?
Yeah.
5 users.
Peak at 7.
Who were the other?
We'll never know.
You're not going to click the thing?
And there we go.